All participants are muted, and they can unmute themselves.
All right, all right.
All right, we are streaming live. Welcome, Mr. Peter Wolfing.
Good. Hey, Mr. V.
Yes. So we have an update on what Peter's going to be talking about. I'm just going to introduce that concept since it didn't make it into the email. I understand you're walking around New York City just having a great old time.
Yeah.
How's the weather there in New York?
It was incredible today. 74 degrees. Spring.
Oh, that's
so I wanted to enjoy the weather before it went south and it got really cold.
Awesome. Well, our very first caller today is Michael Monaco. Welcome for dialing in. And this is a call. There is a live call where people are dialing in, and thanks to the miracle of caller ID, we can actually see your name, which is kind of cool. And we can, if you show up here early, we can actually learn a little bit more about your business and what you do. But tonight, we're going to be talking about lots of different things, including living intentionally. And then I'm going to be talking about the introducing this concept that's all week long. We're going to be talking about set it and forget it. That's kind of like the basic theme of the week. Just set things up and then forget that they're running, and that's really the dream of the mobile phone lifestyle. Wow, a bunch of more people just joined us. Parker, welcome, and Lamont, welcome. You guys are here early, so you get the kudos and acknowledgement.
There we go, Roy.
Hey, Roy, good to see you, man. How are you liking our training you're going through? He's into the automation machine, which released last week.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Vic, sometimes it's weird how these names come up, because sometimes it's first name, last name, sometimes it's last name, first name.
Sometimes it's their ex-wife.
Sometimes you can't tell. Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes, the first name, last name, kind of you can't almost tell what's the first and last name. So sorry if we butcher that a little bit. It's tough to actually see sometimes.
Yeah. So tonight we're going to be talking about intentional living. It's like a subset of intentional mentoring. It's really a lifestyle. Intentional living allows you to draw your roadmap to a personal definition of a successful life. It aligns and propels you to a life of being more purposeful. It makes your voice louder amid the screams. You become in touch with who you are as a person and realize what you have to give. Living a life of intention, I'm going to get rid of your word should, comes with a set of values and principles that you ought to adhere to. Yeah, ought to. It's, funny. People have weirdness around certain words, like should is one of them. Because, their father told them, you should do that. Or your mother said, you should do that, And then what happens is when they hear one of these trigger words, they forget the rest of the sentence, right? Because they're already 5 or 6 years old, being hit with, on the hands with a wooden spoon. And a lot of this.
Oh, that was my mother. That was my mother. She took out the wooden spoon, and we all goes flying all over the room, running away.
Right.
Now they would call Child Protective Services.
Right. I think we should just have personalized tasers for children. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm sorry. That was a sick joke.
The big thing about that was that it was just, it shows people there's consequences for your actions. Now there's no consequences, and it's not a good thing. So there's got to be a happy medium somewhere.
Right. Yeah. And we live with these consequences all the time, but the problem now becomes is we're living in this age of automation where bots are running the show. They're reading your emails, they're reading your Facebook posts, they're reading your YouTube, and that's a great thing because it allows you to scale. However, here's where the problem happens. it happens when you actually didn't intend something, you didn't do anything wrong, but you get shut down anyway, right? And then it takes up to 2 or 3 weeks before a human being can even look at what went wrong. So the problem right now that I see, especially like a number of my clients who, some of you may or may not know this, but I still do have a few clients that are in Facebook, and their Facebook ads accounts were shut down for no reason whatsoever. None whatsoever, right? There was no reason given. It's shut down, and we're trying to trace back to see what caused it. And it could be as something as innocent as they made an ad, and someone commented on the ad with one of the words that implied that they were selling health or wellness products, and immediately their whole account gets shut down, and then they have to petition to get it turned back on again. Now, I wasn't part of the ads. They were just calling me up and said, hey, you used to be working with me with Facebook. Can you help me out with this? Do you have a contact over there that can do that? And I said, yeah, lots of contacts there. But unfortunately, the contacts I have there don't have the power to turn off and on accounts. And you'll learn this when you start dealing with huge companies. That here's something I learned from working with Google. Like I had dinner, Christmas dinner, several years ago with a very, very top executive at Google. Probably about as high up at the food chain as you can go. And he said, Vic, here's how it works. In my department, we make decisions, but we don't have the ability to act on those decisions. Other people act on decisions, but they don't have the ability to make decisions. And that's how it works. So if you're wondering, or you're pulling your hair out and you're wondering, why is Facebook doing this to me? Why is Google doing this to me? That's just the way it is. And you'll hopefully understand that that's kind of like how it is, right? Only when you're dealing with small companies or small teams or entrepreneurs do you have the ability to make a decision and act on it. But in the corporate world, it's not like that. So understand that the people who make the key decisions that govern your life, that decide, major things like your YouTube channel or your Facebook channel, they don't have the ability, when they make policy decisions that affects the entire network, they don't have the ability to act on it. Other people do that. So it's very interesting when you actually look at it that way, and then all of a sudden you have some compassion for all the people who work in these giant enterprises. But I'm going to get back to the introduction here. Living a life of intention comes with a set of values and principles that you ought to adhere to. The process is an ongoing one. You have to be committed, continually being in communication with yourself, making changes and adjustments where needed. Intentional mentoring uses this principle to focus your efforts in the digital world for maximum effect and speed of result. Join us tonight as we explore how you can reach your goals faster than you ever thought possible. Is this you? And I thought this was kind of funny, Peter. You posted my YouTube channel.
The recording has started.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Thank you for starting the recording. Yeah. Hey, everybody, welcome. We are now in the official broadcast now. We were here in the green room just repeating the invitation. I'm Victor Grant. I'm the co-host here. I'm going to introduce Mr. Peter Wolfing, who's a legend in the industry. He's sponsored more than 2 million people. That's a lot more than most of us have ever sponsored in network marketing programs. And it was funny because he wrote up an introduction to this. And he said, is this you? And then he put my YouTube channel link in the post, which I think is kind of funny because I actually, when I made the channel, I was completely lost. He said, is this you? And I looked at it and I said, yeah, that's actually me. Have you ever felt lost? Yes, I actually have felt lost. He asked the question, like your life was going through the motions, but you felt like you were sleepwalking through life. And yes, when I started my YouTube channel, I absolutely did not know what I was doing. And I was sleepwalking through life. I thought, you know what, I'm going to try a couple things. I'm going to upload my mentor's video. His name is Dave. And I uploaded his video. I recorded it on my phone. I uploaded that. I uploaded a little how-to video, and then I uploaded the Doobie Brothers. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to upload a bunch of stuff just to get my channel started. Well, long story short now, 9 years later, the channel has 2.2 million views. Dave no longer is around. I mean, he's still around. I chatted with him the other day. He's still doing something. He still lives in Costa Rica. Great guy. Interesting fellow. His company's not around anymore. And the how-to video is about a product that really doesn't exist anymore. But my Doobie Brothers video has more than 2 million views. So you never know what's going to break through the noise gate, right?
Yeah, great story.
So there is a solution. Stop sleepwalking. Seriously, you take conscious steps for everything you do rather than random steps. It's funny. I have this book called Living Deliberately, which is a great book by Harry Palmer. Harry Palmer. I'm going to pull the book off my shelf and maybe read a little bit of it to you later on. But I just want to make sure that Peter you have a formal presentation that you're going to go into. And then I'm going to continue with automation part 2 called Set It and Forget It. So over to you, Peter. Let's get this show on the road.
I appreciate it, Vic. Yeah, when I had typed that in there, is this you? I was referring to the link in YouTube, and you thought I was referring to what I posted to you.
Yes, exactly.
That was funny. But I think we've all gone and been at that stage in our life that we were sleepwalking, and the problem is you don't know that you're sleepwalking. For most people, they just going through the motions, and you're repeating the same month or the same year over and over and over and over again, and you're wondering by the time you blink, you're 30 or you're 40 or you're 50, and like, what happened? Where did this all go? And I think to some extent, everybody has that story in their life to some great degree, and I certainly do as well too. So I wanted to talk about intentional living and intentional mentoring. I often refer to one of my mentors, John Maxwell, is the foremost leadership coach in the world and has written over 105 books, probably many more than that at this point. And he had a book called Intentional Living. And a lot of this is really stuff that I learned from him, but also I'm going to wrap this into the entrepreneur. I mean, this is why most people are here today. You're an affiliate entrepreneur, you're a network marketing entrepreneur, you're an online entrepreneur, or whatever. And so as I go through here, I try to customize and tailor towards the audience that we have here today, both in the call and also on YouTube. So this is it's a subtle concept. But my main objective is really to raise your level of awareness that this is happening, okay? So if you get nothing else out of this 30, 45 minutes, please understand that my goal here is to kind of slap you upside the head and say, oh my God, I've been sleepwalking, right? And not in the true sense of the word, but subtly, you're going through the motions, right? And as Victor had said, the intentional mentoring is to make intentional decisions, not random sleepwalking decisions, okay? So let me get in the formal presentation of intentional living and also intentional mentoring, because it goes into the coaching that we do with intentional mentoring as well. I think everybody would agree that the world that we have today is different than the world yesterday, even 9 months ago. Our world is now loud and very vocal, and it's filled with a legion of different voices, and they're all screaming from every corner about this and about that, and it's just causing a huge lack of focus and kind of a fog. And they're all speaking different paths in different directions and different rules, and they think they have the right way to live. And usually what I recommend for people is if you decide to pick up one voice to listen to, give that voice a chance and block everything else for at least 6 months, okay? And focus in on that voice and try not to do this voice, that voice, and you're just diluting the waters, and focus in on whatever voice that may be for you, okay? So what we have to prioritize in life ends up being dictated to us in more ways than we can resist. Most times we give in and we take the mold that society tells us, and they kind of give us this, and they say that has to be the right one, and then we conform, right? We get domesticated, as I like to say in one of my key phrases. Many times we lose our grip on our will for our lives while following that which is subtly fed to our minds to be the right way of living, and we actually forget how to live, right? So you want to design your life, okay? I think that's a great 3-word sentence. Design your life rather than living life at random. And without a personally identified purpose, potential remains buried. When we allow popular culture, people around us, and these types of people, and sports figures, and the elites in the movies and Hollywood, and if we allow them to define our path of our life, we lose our creative power. Your life is being an artist. I came in actually first in my high school in art, about 850 people. So I like to use this as a kind of a metaphor. Your life is like a canvas. Every intentional choice and action is you painting a stroke on it. You choose what you paint. You pick the colors, how intense or how subtle. And most have forgotten how to live because plenty of times we just copy the life of those around us on Instagram, or something like that, where we see a little bitty clip of the best of the best of the best of their life, and we think their whole life is like that, right? And we never figure out what works for us. We never tap into understanding what we were made of, and we easily lose ourselves in all of this malaise. Success really has been defined as having a good paying job, owning a beautiful place, maybe a car or two, kind of a life of luxury. And we've forgotten that amid all of this luxury, one might still be void of happiness. The epitome of our being is the ability to channel our lives into a way that we want them to be. We are beings of control, and we have choice, right? We feel more confident and at peace when we feel that we have a grip on our lives and we have control over our lives. Instead of a high-paying job, a person doing a job they love is destined to be happier. Now, notice I didn't say making more money, okay? So there's a balance that you have to really come to, okay? What you do to be happy, but what you do to be productive and support your family and so on, okay? So there's a balance there, because what you do that you may be good at, maybe you don't like your job to do that, but it creates money for you, right? So you have to be able to have a balance of that. Now, it may be the same thing. I happen to really do what I love, and I'm actually pretty good at it, and it makes me money. So it's all in one thing. And Victor does the same thing, but it doesn't have to be the same thing, okay? So you have to reach a position where you do not accept whatever life throws into your lap, but you become more intent-oriented about your decisions and how you live your life. The first step to a more fulfilled life is re-evaluating your life through introspection. What you do is you look closely and you kind of peel back the onion, okay? What makes you tick? And you decide if the life you're living now is the one you want for yourself. Intent gives you purpose. It gives you a reason to be and a clear focus on life. The art of living with purpose is one you master over time by choosing to be intentional and being committed to your choices. A life of purpose reconnects you with your real self and shows you the space you ought to be occupying on this earth. Intentional living allows you to draw a roadmap, as Victor had said before, to a personal definition of a successful life. It aligns and propels you to a life of being purposeful. It makes your voice louder amid your screams and things like that out there. You become in touch with who you are as a person, and you realize what you have to give. Living a life of intention should come with a set of values and principles that you ought to adhere to. Now, I know Victor had mentioned that word should, because sometimes we hear should too much. We kind of should all over ourselves, right? So if we have to change that, we will. The purpose of your life, and an ongoing one, and having a meaningful one, is that you have to be committed, continuously committed, and being in communication with yourself, and you make subtle changes as you go throughout your life, thus adjustments. Do that wherever is needed. So the first step to an intentional life and one of purpose is identifying your why, a why that makes you cry. Identify what sets your heart ablaze, the driving force behind your every action and your every decision. Refuse to go with the tides of life and back your every action with a plausible reason that can take you a step closer to your goals. Take time to pin down your core values. They're your foundation and the compass to the direction of your every step. When you've rooted core values and principles, you now ought to be able to hold yourself accountable, and that is key. Holding yourself accountable for every action you do to be within your bounds. And it also helps you to block off any of the fog and the things that are going to cause you to have lack of focus, because you know exactly what you want. So with accountability, you maintain a firm grip on your behavior and your habits, in turn, cultivating discipline within yourself. A defined purpose keeps you motivated, which makes it easier to be able to achieve the goal in mind. Knowing your purpose comes with weighing the importance of every life situation and how it aids to the bigger picture. You're focusing on your vision. That's your bigger picture, right? What is your vision? Right? What is your vision? You have to have that vision that is crystal clear. So let's say if you want to have a specific house. Well, what color is the house? What's the yard look like? Does it have grass? Does it not have grass? Right? What does the carpet look like? What color is it? What kind of countertop is in the kitchen? That is a crystal clear vision. Okay? So when your purpose is clear, the mind will have a clear, cutthroat focus on acting in a way that pushes you forward. Okay? Now also, when you have a crystal clear vision, it pulls you forward. Right? It also pulls you forward towards that vision. An intentional life grants you the superpower of clarity in decision making. Living an intentional life of purpose is about keeping in check your habits, because your habits cause you to sleepwalk, right? That's why you have habits, is to do all these different things that you don't want to think about doing, and you just do, right? But your habits can run your life if you're not careful. You can have good habits and you can have bad habits. Most of us, unfortunately, have bad habits, and the biggest one is causing you to sleepwalk through your entire life. It could be a combination of habits, right? So you want to make sure that you're not a slave to your habits. And Victor later on will mention a great book about habits, Atomic Habits, I believe it is. And you want to realize your changes and your choices. You make conscious decisions to break toxic habits that are not healthy for your well-being and your growth. The choices do not just end up with your actions, but should carry through to the cycle of your life. And they want to keep you in the environment that you want to be having yourself nurtured in. Be intentional about choosing people who bring out the best around you. That is key, right? Choosing the people that are around you. So you in turn want to be intentional about choosing the people who you hang around with. And I applaud you for coming on a call like this today, because you're choosing to be around a nice sized group of people that are thinking the same things, that want the same things. And this mental vibration is going through the phones and through YouTube to you, whether you know it or not. So we learn to live the right way every single day by the choices that we make. We unlearn our bad habits and learn from our mistakes. You can never have it all figured out at once, but as long as you make your life intentional, you're already in the right path of discovery. You're making conscious steps daily, living in your terms with your purpose in mind, you become a partaker of the abundant life of joy and well-being while simultaneously being a blessing to those people around you. When you start to do that, you become the servant leader, and you become the sponsor that everybody wants to be able to be sponsored by. Be the sponsor that you always wish you had. How about that? Now, you have to grow into that sometimes, right? You just don't click your fingers and become that. You become that by intentional choices to become that. You make a list of all the character traits and all the skills that a great sponsor you think would have, and you become that, right? And I'm talking about a network marketing scenario there. So you decide to be intentional and understand who you are, what you're made here for, and where you want your path to take you. A life of purpose is one of progression. It's not just a one-time thing. You progress towards that. So I want to touch on the top 6 phrases to help you live with intention and give you strength to keep moving forward. Now, guys, do you have a pen or a piece of paper or something to write with? Okay, these are not long, but I think it might be great if you write these down. Okay, there's 6 of them and not that long. Okay, number 1, and you're saying this to yourself. Okay, 6 phrases to help you live with intention and give you the strength to keep moving forward when things look dark. Number 1, I stand by what I believe in. Okay, I stand by what I believe in. That's integrity, right? Number 2, my actions determine my successes or failures. Both of those are plural. My actions, not action, actions determine my successes or failures, and you will fail, right? You will fail. You will get rejected. It's part of the process. It's the learning process, but it does not determine who you are. It's just a learning process. Okay, my actions determine my successes or failures. Number 3, I live by what is to come and not what is happening around me. Okay, that is reacting to the things that are happening around. We say this all the time, right? I live by what is to come. Okay, I live by what is to come and not what is happening around me. 97, 98, 99% of the public are reactionary. They are not creators like you and I. We are entrepreneurs. We are creators. Okay? I live by what is to come and not as what is happening around me. Number 4, I am defined by my purpose, not my failures. I am defined by my purpose, not my failures. When you really internalize that, failure becomes fun. Rejection becomes fun. You seek it out because you know the more rejection you get, the more money you're going to make. if you're in the network marketing field, which is my specialty, right? I'm defined by my purpose, not my failures. Number 5, my struggles don't mean the end of my journey. My struggles don't mean the end of my journey. I'm sure you've heard me say, and this I got this from John Maxwell, success is always uphill, right? Or you could say usually uphill, and it's always inconvenient, right? It's always inconvenient, right? It's inconvenient to be on this call today. It's inconvenient to be on the Zoom tomorrow and the Zoom Thursday. You know, you got to fix the screen door. You got to take the dog out for a walk to go to the bathroom. You got to do this. You got to do that. It's always inconvenient. Life is inconvenient. Success is inconvenient. But we make time for what's important to us. And you are going to struggle. Everything worthwhile, especially if you've never done it before, is hard at first. You're going to struggle. So you struggle until you don't struggle anymore. And then it becomes fun. So if you're learning to be an affiliate marketer and you're learning to be a network marketer, you're going to suck at first. All right? Let's just call it what it is. You're going to suck at first, but you don't always suck at your job. Eventually you learn what to do in your job, right? Hopefully. And the same thing here. Once you learn the skills to become an effective affiliate marketer and you become an effective network marketer, you can write your own check, right? Okay, my struggles don't mean the end of my journey. Okay, number 6, I have faith in my abilities. I have faith in my abilities. Okay, just to review, number 1, I stand by what I believe in. Number 2, my actions determine my successes or failures. Number 3, I live by what is to come and not what is happening around me. Number 4, I am defined by my purpose, not my failures. Number 5, my struggles don't mean the end of my journey. Number 6, I have faith in my abilities. Now, you definitely want to have faith in your abilities. Now, at the beginning, maybe you don't know what your abilities are. Maybe your abilities aren't that great yet, so you have to have blind faith. I'm sure you've heard of blind faith, right? You have to have blind faith, and that's called trust. You have to trust yourself. But blind faith only gets you so far, right? You have to have faith based on understanding. Faith based on understanding is rock solid faith. So if you have faith about something and you understand it too, then you got something special, right? So now if you have faith and you understand, okay, I have to get this skill and this skill and this skill and this skill, and these are the different things that I intentionally have to do to get this skill and this skill and this skill, to get this skill from a 1 to a 10, that's understanding. And I have faith that I will get there. Right? The facts might say that I'm not there right now, but the truth is I will get there eventually, right? The facts and truth are not the same thing. The facts are I might be broke, but the truth is I am taking intentional steps to be able to increase my ability so I become valuable to the marketplace. These are all affirmations that you can say to your subconscious. And if you were here a few weeks ago, I said, I did a whole session on the power of words. The power of words, very, very, very powerful stuff. So you can only achieve your goals by making sure each step that you take is an intentional one and by recognizing that an intentional life is the best kind of life that there is. But fighting your inner battles is something we all have to do from time to time. And again, because no matter where you are and what you do, you will face certain battles you're not expecting. It's how we deal with them that separates winners from the quitters. If you allow what goes on inside you to affect your work, your relationships, as well as your health, the chances of accomplishing anything that's valuable is really quite slim. Inner battles can control your life and force you to live below your capabilities if left uncontrolled and if undefeated. In short, what happens inside you determines whether or not you're going to win any sort of battle. This is why not only fighting your battles, but ensuring you win them is the most important thing when it comes to living peacefully and abundantly. Okay? The only way of ensuring you win your battles is by living an intentional life. Guys, write that down. The only way of ensuring that you win your battles is by living an intentional life, because now you're aware. Now, have you ever heard the phrase, if somebody shows you something, most of the time it's funny, but it's so true. Well, they show you something and they say, hey, did you see that? And I said, no, I can't unsee that, right? Because it's burned in my brain. Well, you can't unknow this now, because now you know it. You don't have an excuse, right? Because the veil has been lifted and you're now made aware of the sleepwalking problem. There's many benefits to living intentionally, and the most central one is that an intentional life helps you win every battle that you face. This is because being deliberate in your actions, your words, and your thoughts train your mind to only focus on things that matter. You watch what you say, and you're more capable of blocking negative emotions as well as your thoughts. You know who you are, what you want out of life, and what you're going to do to get what you want, right? And the fights that encounter all these different things that happen with you, you can choose to have victory over these things. You know, when someone says, you know, you made me really mad, can somebody really make you do anything? There's a saying that says, if someone makes you mad, you've been had. Because technically they can't make you do anything. You have to let that happen to you. And if you refuse to let that happen to you, nobody can make you mad, sad, or upset, because you only, you get in life what you tolerate. Put it that way. You get in life what you tolerate. And if you tolerate someone making you upset, sad, or anything like that, then you got it coming to you because you tolerate it. An intentional life keeps your eyes on the ability to fight. And it gives you the strength you need to ensure that you win. Have you ever, now you might see these fighting words and phrases because being in the military, I kind of use that as a reference all the time. Have you ever wondered why certain people in your life are so peaceful? It's almost as if they have nothing to worry about. Most people have a lot of things to worry about. Peaceful people know and understand that life is full of the unexpected. There are battles to win, discouragements to face, disappointments to expect, oppositions to face, rejection to take, and failures to meet. But they always remain a step ahead of all the negativity, and they achieve this by preparing for bad things to occur while expecting the best. Okay? You prepare for the bad things, but you expect the best. I love that. The only way of maintaining your peace in times of crisis, oppositions, pain, as well as an internal or external battle is by staying a step ahead of everything else. One of the gifts that I have, and I kind of learned this when I was in the restaurant business, but I became aware of it, let me put it this way, is, and one of the reasons why I've always been really, really good at sports, besides being very coordinated, is that when I get into a stressful situation, I slow things down. I see things in slow motion. Okay? When everyone's going crazy, my blood pressure goes down. It's a weird thing. It goes down, and I get very calm. And it's just the way I am, right? I get very, very calm, and I see things in slow motion so I can make decisions that are going to throw the touchdown, to hit the home run, to get the food out in the restaurant business. And as a CEO of my company, I don't get too high or too low because I know there's bigger issues at play here, not just one thing. And I have to make decisions based on all of my reps and all of their families and all the people that they touch. It's not just one person. It's a lot of things happening. So I have to see things in slow motion. And you can do the same thing too. So when you catch yourself reacting to something quickly, take a breath, try to slow it down, and it will serve you well. So how do you accomplish that? By living intentionally and never giving up no matter how much you feel like calling it quits. You slow it down, take a breath, and you say, okay, what can I learn from this? How can I do it better? And how can I overcome? So you win all your battles by committing to an intentional life. Write that down. You win all of your battles. I didn't say some. I didn't say part. All of them. You win all your battles by committing to an intentional life. Committing. Not sometimes. Not when you feel like it. Commitment. Okay? You win by fighting, not by quitting. Okay? Because you're making sure that you're always ready for a fight, and you ensure your mind is well equipped for whatever you face. You got to get tough. The main reason why one of my closest friends triumphed after falling into a depression is that she fought and never gave up fighting. Depression is one of the many illnesses that lower your self-esteem and force you to question your worth and everything that happens through all these attack patterns that happen in your life. My friend understood that what happened to them was that they had a loved one that died in a car crash. And that can, of course, send anyone into a hopeless state of despair and depression. After battling that depression for a while, she decided she was stronger than her situation and that her pain will no longer control or dictate her thoughts or actions. She chose to express her anger by talking about her pain, expressing what she felt by writing it down. She took care of her body. She trained her mind to focus on positive things as well as making time for things that she loved. This may sound like a lot, but it isn't. My good friend recognized that the outcome far outweighed the sacrifices, and she chose to fight. That's intentional living. So a couple of years later, she won the battle against depression, and she began living her life the way she was meant to. That doesn't mean she forgot about the loss or anything like that. You want to remember. She learned to live with it by constantly remembering all the beautiful memories she had created with her loved one, and by preventing the loss from negatively affecting her health, her mind, her work, and her relations. So I need you to realize that you can defeat every battle that you face, every rejection that you have, everything that doesn't work if you choose to live intentionally. If that means letting go of the past by confiding in somebody, well, go for it. If that means adopting a new lifestyle and believing in yourself some more, by all means do it. Whatever you do, always bear in mind that intentional actions are the only thing that can give you victory over everything and anything that you face. So in conclusion, that make sure that the next battle you face finds you prepared for a win by living with intention starting today, on this call today. This means defining your purpose, writing down what you want to achieve, planning your steps, taking small steps towards your goal every single day, controlling your thoughts, watching your words, staying true to your principles, standing by what you believe in, continuing to improve, and expressing gratitude for all the good things that are happening in your life amongst all the battles that you're also facing. So guys, thank you so much for listening a little bit about intentional mentoring and intentional living and why it's so important in your life. Hopefully, you've gotten that awareness of what you need to do. Okay, the steps you need to do to be able to harness this paradox that's out there that so many people don't even know they have, and it's so pervasive in people's life, and it's like and I hate to use this phrase, but it's like a cancer in people's life, But now you can't unsee it, can you? Because you know it. Think about it. Really, really think about it. Unpeel the onion of your life. Think about your life and how you can take charge of your life and the decisions that you make and what you're doing, and every single thing that you decide to do it with intention, with purpose and meaning, and not just randomness. So Vic, let me turn it back over to you. And Vic's going to talk about automation today. So I talk basically about the mental part, okay? And that's what I usually talk about on Monday nights, the mental part of being an entrepreneur. And on this second section of intentional mentoring, Vic's going to talk about the technical part, okay? And automation. I love automation. Doesn't everybody love automation? Because that's what you want to shoot for. It doesn't happen right away, but you have to develop systems for automation, okay? And he's been focusing on the word automation and what you have to do to accomplish automation for quite a few sessions right now, and he continues with that today. So Vic, why don't you take it away and talk about automation to everybody?
Well, thank you. Before I do that, though, I want to talk about Aristotle and Socrates. Because your talk inspired me to do a little bit of research. And as you know, last week those of you who are here, I said that I made an investment in a book. It's actually called The Great Ideas, a synopticon of great ideas. And what this is, it's a giant, it was published in 1954. And this book is a synopsis of the greatest ideas that scholars have had over the last 3, 4, 5,000 years, going back to Aristotle, going back to Socrates, specifically dealing with concepts that we currently have. And one of the challenges that I think people have is that they don't understand the roots that bear the fruit. And this concept of desire is really key. And it also ties into automation, and it ties into what you were talking about, Peter. So I was looking this up as I was there. So this comes from chapter 17, Desire, page 326. And what I'm going to do is bring it up and share a little bit. I'm going to paraphrase because there's too much here to share all of it. If you come back tomorrow, we're going to go deeper into this with Zoom and a screen share. So check your email and whitelist Peter at intentionalmentoring.com. That will, or if you're not on the subscriber list, please head on over to intentionalmentoring.com. But I was looking at this concept of desire, and there's really two aspects to it. Here's how it begins. Viewed as belonging to the very nature of a thing, appetite, okay, which is the first part of desire, appetite, according to Aristotle, consists in the tendency towards something we do not have. So when we're living intentionally, you have to ask yourself, is my intention going towards something I do have or something I do not have? Let me move forward on some of these key concepts. We observe here two different conditions of appetite or desire as the opposite of privation. I've never even heard of that word, but it's an interesting word, is possession. So in other words, we all know the word possession because, we just finished Halloween and there's all these possession things on Hulu. But privation is the opposite of possession. In other words, lacking or having, right? So the opposite status of appetite are the drive toward the unpossessed and the satisfaction in possession. We do not strive for that which we have, unless it to retain our possession of it against loss. And we do not feel satisfied until we get that which we have been seeking. So Socrates actually said this in his Symposium. Here's what he said. If a man being strong desired to be strong, or being swift desired to be swift, or being healthy desired to be healthy, he might be thought to desire something which he already has or is. This would be a misconception which we must avoid. To anyone who says, I desire to have simply what I have, Socrates thinks we should reply, you, my friend, having wealth and health and strength, want to have the continuance of them. When you say, I desire that which I have and nothing else, is not your meaning that you want to have in the future what you now have? This is equivalent to saying that a man desires something This is equivalent to saying that a man desires something which is for him non-existent and which he has not got, from which Socrates draws the conclusion that everyone desires that which he has not already, which is the future and not present, and of which he is in want. The summary of this is as follows. The object of desire, natural or conscious, thus seems to be an altered condition in the desirer, the result of union with the object desired. Man's natural desire to know impels him to learn. See, this is now Victor talking. I love that. I actually wanted to get right to that point. Every act of learning, I'm reading back in the book now, every act of learning which satisfies this natural desire contains in a changed condition of the mind, a change in which both Plato and Aristotle describe as a motion from ignorance to knowledge. Very, very deep stuff. But think about that. If you think you already know it, you don't desire it, and therefore you won't seek knowledge. If you don't know it, then you seek knowledge because you now know that you don't know it. And see, it's not what we don't know that will get us in trouble. It's what we think we know that we don't actually know, or if we don't know what we don't know, but it is so. And that's what gets us in trouble. And this applies even more today, whether you're dealing with politics, whether you're dealing with automation, whether you're dealing with email, whether you're dealing with ads. Everything that you don't know, you still are at the effect of. And so what we strive to do in this series, Monday we're talking philosophy. Tuesday we're hands-on about what we spoke about the previous Thursday. And then Thursday we introduce new ideas. And that's kind of how we weave this web together that we call intentional mentoring. So Peter, I wanted to have your comments about this before I move into some more practical things. I'm just going to introduce 3 concepts. We're going to go deep into them tomorrow when we have Zoom and the visual aids. Over to you, Peter. What do you think about this idea that we really need to do this? Before I do that, there was another paragraph here that I wanted to read. Since you're a culinary expert, when we consciously desire food, it is not the edible thing as such we seek, but rather the eating of it. Only the eating of it will quiet our desire. With that change, our condition we call nourishment. That edible thing is only incidentally the object of our desire, and it is seen in the fact that in no way in which we can possess food other than eating it satisfies our hunger for it. Back to you, Peter.
Sorry, I was on mute. Yeah, guys, you want to lose weight? Who on here wants to lose weight? Okay, we can't hear you right now, but say me. One of the things that I learned from January to June, I lost 55 pounds. So one of the things that I learned, and I came up with 8 or 9 different points that I learned over the 6 months. And one of them was, and it goes with kind of what Victor was saying, is you have to look at food as fuel, right? You have to look at food as fuel that just gives you energy, because everything is energy. You ever eat lunch and have too much lunch, and about a half an hour to an hour later, you're lethargic and falling asleep? Because the food is overkill on the fuel, and your body's trying to store it as fat, which is slowing you down. And it's trying to spend too much time and effort digesting the food, which is taking blood and nourishment away from your brain into your stomach, right? It's all of your energy is focusing in on the digestion, which is causing you to go to sleep. So if you look at food as fuel and not the desire, or not the food itself, okay, just whatever the food is, it's giving you fuel to be able to be at peak performance, okay? So that's what I did when I started looking at the different things that I was having. I would have a great shake in the morning that gave me energy, it curbed my appetite. Then in the afternoon, I'd have a great Mediterranean type of lunch. Not even that much, not that much. Actually, less food is better. That's another thing too. Less food is better, not more food. And I'd have like hummus and a hard-boiled egg, and I have a few things like that, but not a lot, because I knew I didn't want to get lethargic afterwards. And then just for dinner, I just really didn't have to worry about it. because I exercised and when I do exercise, I just walked, right? So my thing was always about peak energy to keep that going. So and then it just melted off. So it's really not a complicated thing if you think the right thing and you make intentional choices towards your goal, and you have the faith with understanding. You understand what's really going on with your body and these different things. So kind of a little bit off tangent what you were talking about, but since you went into the culinary part, that's the thing that popped into my head. Back to you, Vic.
Yeah, thank you, Peter. So tomorrow we're going to be introducing, and throughout this week, the theme is this ebook called 7 Set It and Forget It Ways to Make More Money with Your Website, which is a great title for a book. And I'm going to skip ahead to the 6th step, which is what we're going to be specifically talking about tomorrow, which is setting up your autoresponder. There's a lot of other things that come before it, steps 1 through 6, and you probably have to learn those things first. But most of you who are here tonight already have a website, you already have a capture page, you already have some form of leads. And if you're something like me, you've already got all that stuff in place. But what you're missing is, now that you have those leads, what do you do with them? How are you going to turn those leads into customers? And that's what we're going to be talking about tomorrow. So everyone talks about list building, but there's a key that a lot of people miss, is that when people join your list, they need to be entered into an autoresponder sequence of at least 5 or 7 emails. 5 to 7 emails, it could be up to 16 emails. And the idea is to have only one action that they take somewhere along the line in those 5, 6, 7 emails. It used to be, maybe 10 years ago, you could just opt in and have one email. But these days, it's a small probability that people will get your email at all, unless they're deliberately looking for it at the same time as they opt in. So here are 3 tips for creating a successful follow-up sequence. And I'm going to show examples tomorrow of some sequences that I've been running that are really, really working and converting sales on autopilot, which is awesome. Because think about that. Once I set this thing in motion, I just get a notification. Hey, you made a sale. Hey, you made a sale. Hey, you just made a sale, right? And that's what we all dream of, but very few people can deliver on it. And the biggest reason for that, Peter, is because they're copies of something that's already been bludgeoned to death, and people go, oh yeah, I've seen something like that already before, right? Oh yeah, that sounds just like that other thing that I saw the other day. You have to have something that's unique, that's fun, that's interesting. So here are 3 tips. Tip number 1, focus on selling one product or service in the sequence. If you bombard your new prospects with a variety of offers, they probably won't buy anything at all. So focus your email sequence around one core offer at a time. So this week, we're focusing on one thing, to give you one free ebook, which is called the 7 Set It and Forget It Ways to Make Money with Your Website. When you download this ebook, you will have all 7 things, and you can go through them at your leisure. And then you come back on Thursday for our live Zoom, and we will go into these in great detail. Now, when you come on Thursday, you're going to be introduced to the concepts. However, if you can make it tomorrow, you'll actually see the sequences that I've already been running that are working. Tip number 2, very, very important. Create emails that are part content, part pitch. The content will solve part of your prospect's problem, while at the same time establishing you as a trustworthy expert. The pitch is for the product or service, or otherwise known as a call to action, that solves the rest of your prospect's problem. In other words, the content should naturally lead to the paid solution. Emphasize paid solution. Doesn't have to be much. Just something that is a token that allows you to segment your list between free and paid. Tip number 3, be purposeful with your email sequence. And this comes back to intentional mentoring, intentional living. Each email offers a new step, tip, or secret for the content part of the email. However, each email ought to work on closing the sale in one or more of the following 3 ways. Way number 1, focus on the benefits of the product or service and let your prospects know why they would want this product. Number 2, offering proof of your claims, such as testimonials, case studies, or some other forms of proof. Sticking to your strongest forms of proof, such as testimonials that talk about actual results that your customers are having. And that's kind of a chicken and egg, because if you're just getting started, you don't have customers, but yet you need customer testimonials before people will buy your product. Number 3, overcoming objections. Your guarantee and testimonials help overcome many objections that people have. However, if you're aware that your audience has a specific objection, then you need to raise that and handle this objection in your email. For example, if you're charging a premium price, then you need to justify the price and why that price is more than other similar products in the industry. So these are some keys that you have with your autoresponders. And what I've seen, what I've analyzed, majority of autoresponders in done-for-you programs or in network marketing companies, they're pitch, 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 and they rarely offer any value or any tips. Or they're all just value, 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 and people go, you know what? I've gotten enough value. I want to buy something. How do I buy? Where do I go? What do I do? It's that subtle balance that works. And the only way to cultivate that is through experience or hiring a mentor that understands these subtle nuances in such a way that they can help you. What I found works best, and I shared this last week, is I don't really even use autoresponders unless they're proven. And the way I work is I write things as if they were going to be an autoresponder, and then I send them out as broadcasts, and I see how well they respond with actual customers. Now, once I have customers, it's very easy to do that. The worst that will happen is someone will unsubscribe from your list. But that's not so bad because they already purchased from you. And chances are they will purchase from you again. Remember, when they unsubscribe, they're only unsubscribing from that one list. They're not unsubscribing from speaking to you at all unless you make that critical mistake that 95% of marketers do, which is where they have and they're trying to send automation messages all under one identity or one website. So for example, I have a newsletter called the Launch Newsletter that covers product launches. And I say to people, hey, you're on my newsletter because you expressed an interest in product launches. Okay. Does that mean if they unsubscribe from my launch newsletter list that they're not anymore invited to my Zoom webinars? No. It just shows that they're not interested in hearing about updates to my launch newsletter. A lot of people also ask me, well, Vic, how did you build a list of such size? And I say it's really simple. I have applied the practices in this ebook for years. I'm going to give you another bonus one. Okay. This is tip number 7. It's called an exit traffic offer or a pop-up. If you go over to launchnewsletter.com, which is the Launch Newsletter homepage, if you're there for the very first time, there's a little tool that I use that pops up if you're there only for the first time. It says, hey, get on our VIP launch list. It asks you for your name and your email address, and you can get instant updates to that. However, if you ever go back to the website, you're just going to see the homepage. This exit pop or entry pop, a lot of people like it, And a lot of business owners don't like it because they feel like it's a little bit too pushy. There really is no best way or right and wrong way to do this. I can just tell you, I learned a mistake. I had that pop up on every page of my website, and I realized I was doing a product launch at the time, and people were opting into my list when they were actually trying to find my product. And that wasn't really helping because they were already on my list and they were already hearing about the product. They didn't really want to re-opt in again. So you have to be careful with this. But we're going to go deep into some more of these examples tomorrow. Uh, if you want to check out how this autoresponder sequence works, I'll put links below this if you're watching us on Zoom, or if you're on the call, you can opt in and get this free ebook at automationmachine.com. That's distinct from intentional mentoring. And just like I said a moment ago, if you unsubscribe from Automation Machine doesn't mean that you're unsubscribed from intentional mentoring. And that's one of the key reasons why it's so important that you, when you're in business, that you're very meticulous in organizing your subscriber lists so that their emails that they receive are only coming from the website associated with that offer. The simplest way to do that, quite frankly, is to have one website for every single offer or every single funnel that you're promoting. And that's really, really simple with Builderall, which we're going to be talking about tomorrow. They just launched, Peter, I don't know if you know this, they just launched a special program. You can get 5 websites for $29 a month instead of the $69 a month. You can always upgrade to the $69 a month. The $69 a month gives you 15 websites, unlimited emails, unlimited autoresponders. It's the unlimited package for $69 a month. But some people were saying, you know what, that's too much of a commitment for me, so they can just go ahead and get started for $29 a month and have 5 websites and upgrade to something later. So I think that's a great, great value. And I'm going to pass it over to you. You can talk a little bit about Builderall and why we're requiring people to be active in Builderall if they want to come tomorrow. Because long story short is, if I show you what I'm doing and you don't have the tools to actually put it into practice for your business, it's just going to be an intellectual exercise and it won't mean anything to you. So back over to you, to Peter. Why do you think people ought to, if they're ready in Builderall, log in, sign in, click the upgrade button so you're no longer at the free level. And if you're not, then check your email, and there's going to be a subject that says Builderall, and we will send you our links so that you can register for this program. Back to you, Peter.
Yeah, just as part of our trainings that we do here, Tuesday is Technical Tuesdays, right? Tactical Tuesdays, Technical Tuesdays. Is we actually do stuff. We build stuff. And if you want to build stuff along with us as we do it, then you have to have the tool to do it. Okay. And I like this new feature that they have that's not even $30 a month. And you can have, what they have there with all sorts of stuff. There's like dozens and dozens of different tools that you have in there. And I'm in the midst of canceling everything that I have to go over there, and I'm saving hundreds and hundreds of dollars a month just by using their system. So, so if you're looking at having a well-rounded training and education, Monday nights we do the mental stuff, right, and the entrepreneur mental stuff, and Tuesdays is more the physical doing it, right, and then we have also on Thursdays as well. So you're getting, I would say, 6 to 9 hours a week of education and training with the intentional mentoring stuff that we do, which is really incredible. But in a nutshell, if you haven't heard, I mean, the Builderall system, in 30 years of me being on the internet and 22 years of my own company, it's really the most well-rounded system at the right price for the most people. And it's just fantastic. I think it's really, really great. And that includes ClickFunnels, right? So I would suggest you get in there and do that. You can make all your funnels, and it has, too many for me to even mention today as far as all the different features and functions and things like that you have in there. but and a nice affiliate program as well too. So so back to you, Vic, and I think that's pretty much it as far as what you wanted to talk about. Did you want to mention anything else?
Yeah, what I'm going to be talking about tomorrow is going to be workflows. This is a
Mm-hmm.
new feature that I just discovered inside of Builderall. I've been using their Mailing Boss software. I now have 5,246 subscribers inside of my Mailing Boss. And what I love about their system more than anything is they don't have a success tax. Other programs out there, the more subscribers you have, the more they're going to cost per month, right? And pretty soon you'll be paying $100 a month, $200 a month, $500 a month for some email programs. Like if your list is 100,000, you're going to be spending like 500 to $1,000 a month just to reach those 100,000 people. And the problem with that is you can't really reach 100,000 people at a time. The only way you can do that is every single person on your list was a business, not a free email service. So Gmail, Hotmail, Yahoo, AOL, all of those companies are out. You pretty much need to be focusing right around the 5,000 mark level. And the reason for that is because these large companies that have free email services, they don't want their members being pitched too much. It's just that simple. There's nothing wrong with it. But you cannot scale your business when your subscribers are using free email. You just can't. It's just not possible to do because you're operating from a domain that you have no jurisdiction in. When you have an email address, let's say in Gmail, you are inside of Google's social network called Gmail. It's a great place. But external things that are emailing to those subscribers have limits. Okay? When you cross too many in a day, they start paying attention and not in a good way. So, what you need to do, and we're going to talk about this, is you need to do list refinement. You have to do list segmentation, and you have to start bringing more of your subscribers into a business to business relationship. Okay? You want to say, hey, if you're a business and your email address is you@yourbusinessname.com, I'm going to give you a 50% off coupon on my product. Okay? That's what I've always been saying now for the last 3 years because we can't boycott. I mean, it's silly. Who in their right mind is going to boycott Gmail? No, too many people use it. But what we can do is inform them, say, hey, you know what? I only have a maximum of 200-300 people a day that I feel comfortable in mailing to Gmail at a time. So you really, if you want to stick with Gmail, you really got to open my emails every day. You really got to be clicking on all my links every day. If not, guess what happens? And yeah, Peter, if I can share some numbers with you, they're really specific. I mean, we sent out 5,000 emails today to invite people here. Let me go in here and maybe you could just talk about this concept. We really need a term for it. I don't think the word free even counts. One of my clients didn't believe me. I told them this 2 years ago, and then they started seeing the numbers. I said, just try this. And then they saw the numbers and they said, you know what? You told me 2 years ago. I didn't believe you then because that sounds like too much like a conspiracy. I said, no, it's not a conspiracy. It's just the way it is. And they said, now I believe you. Now I believe you. Okay, so Peter, take a guess. What is the open rate of your subscribers that have not connected with us in the last 30 days? What is your open rate?
No, it's probably 10% or less, probably.
2.
Oh.
2. Right?
I was right.
2%. Right? What's your open rate of people who are here every single month? At least one opened in a month. What do you think is the open rate for that? Across the
50%.
big list.
50% or more?
No, that would be a really specific one. It's actually 28%.
Okay.
But see, 28%, see, here's the thing. If you're getting a 28% invitation for people to come to this call, all that's going to happen is we have to can those people that are only opening the 2%. There's really no reason to keep talking to them or keep emailing to them because it's just, they're not paying attention, right? It's actually a liability for us to keep mailing to those people. And this is what people don't understand, is that as long as you keep mailing to people who are not opening, you're hurting your reputation with Google. And if you hurt your reputation with Google, it's going to be very hard for you to repair that reputation. Okay? It's very hard. You have to sign petitions. You have to do all kinds of things. All of a sudden, people look at your website and then McAfee notifies them that, hey, this is a dangerous website. Get out of there. I'm not kidding you. I'm speaking from experience. That has happened to me until I cleaned up my reputation with Google, and then that no longer happens anymore because they're not a bad company. They're just protecting their members. So those of you who are insisting on keeping your Gmail accounts, you're going to be paying more. That's just it. You're going to be paying more with your attention. You're going to be paying more with your vitality, and you're not going to be able to scale your business. So that's why now is the time for you to make a decision to want something. And that's one of the reasons why I brought out Socrates here. If you don't really want it bad enough, you're not going to get it. Okay? If you don't desire the knowledge and you don't desire the ability, I call it capability. Okay? Capability to me is the most paramount skill that you need. And I would say we're operating with a 2% capability index right now. Okay? Those people who wanted to read that letter, of which only 2% opened, they wanted your letter because the click-through rate of the people who did is high. It's astronomically high. They're just not capable of finding the letter amidst all the other things they have going on. Again, amidst all the other noise that's bothering them all the time, against all of the Facebook notifications and instant notifications and spam emails that are hitting their mailbox, they just don't have the capability to function. We're looking for people who can function. So there were 3 words that I came up with as a moniker for intentional mentoring. I'm going to pull that up. Maybe, Peter, you could say a few words while I pull up that image because I think it's really crystal clear. And then we'll call it.
Yeah, while you look that up, guys, I'm just going to close out on what I was talking about before about, and it really encapsulates everything that we're making. Victor's saying make intentional choices about Gmail and about, what you're doing and the knowledge and so on. But there's a quote by a guy, his name is Richie Norton, and it perfectly encapsulates what intentional mentoring, intentional living is. He says, intentional living is the art of making our own choices before others' choices make us.
Yes.
Right. It's the art of making our own choices before other people's choices make us.
Exactly.
Right. This means, that being intentional with your choices, it's really, really important in creating the life that you want. Because other than that, the government, your parents, or authority figures in your life, they're all going to make decisions that are going to really rule your life. So just if you ask yourself this question, how can you begin to improve on making intentional choices? Okay, and I'm not going to go into detail on these, but number one is you have to be aware, which you are now, and you have to have an intentional mindset. Okay, you have to have intentional mindset. Your body is one of the biggest mysteries of this planet. Okay, so you have to adapt and be able to make an intentional mindset. Okay, number two is you have to have purposeful planning. Right, you have to make a purpose of everything that you're doing. You make it into bite-sized, intentional actions, small bite-sized, nothing too large where you're not going to finish it and you're going to say, the heck with it. You make bite-sized intentional actions, and then when you do those, you have no regrets. Okay? Sometimes things aren't going to work out. You make mistakes. You're gonna have failed. Things are going to happen, but no regrets. Okay? You have no regrets on what's going on. So you do those things, and that'll get you on the path to be able to get your life rolling with intentional living. Okay? So Vic, back to you.
Yeah. So I found the words. And there's 4 of them. There's Mindset Mondays, Tactical Tuesdays, then there's Training Thursdays. Okay, these are the 3 days that we do that. But the overarching word that encapsulates all of this is called capability. Capability is what you need to do to put your business into motion. And we talked about that last Thursday with kinetic energy and momentum. Okay. Capability is your ability to actually put these things into practice. So watching endless videos, watching mindset training, reading Aristotle, okay, it's not going to really help you. But me getting on a call like this and sharing Aristotle with hundreds of people live, thousands and potentially tens of thousands of people who will listen to the replays of this, that's putting it into practice. When you speak the words of Socrates, you got to find the specific ones for the time. And that's what we talked about earlier in this call. Now, if you missed the call, the beginning of the call, they are on our YouTube channel. And there are 2 channels. My channel is called Tube Relevance, Tube Relevance. And you can just go to YouTube now and search for Intentional Mentoring. There's a channel, and that's Peter's channel, Intentional Mentoring. And we're going to be uploading some of these things over there as well. But your ability to locate, and this is really, really important because those of you who will be with us tomorrow, you're going to be in for a treat because what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to get answers to the questions that you have. I spent most of today with support, trying to solve a problem because I had a goal. I achieved the goal by the end of the day, but it took a lot longer than I thought it would take. And I learned so much from the support rep who was so kind enough. Her name is Lorraine, and she's a Builderall support person. Thank you, Lorraine, for helping me out. And she pointed me in the right direction. But what I'm going to do tomorrow is summarize what I did today in a nanosecond. I'm going to show you some videos. But instead of listening to the audio of the videos, I'm going to narrate those videos. I'm going to simplify it. I'm going to make it much shorter, more condensed, so you guys can really understand how these workflows work. What is a workflow? It's a visual picture of your emails. It's a visual picture of understanding how these emails connect with each other, how these communications subtly move people toward a purchase decision. And I'm going to be giving some real examples. Okay? It's going to be great. You're going to love it. So we'll see you tomorrow at the exact same time, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, for the Zoom. And these are longer than usual. So you want to just, put on your thinking cap and be sure to be inside of Builderall and make sure you're on your laptop. This is not a dial in and, I'm going to listen to while I'm driving on the freeway or I'm on the phone kind of thing. No, this is not that call. This is not that call. You want to be on your laptop so that you can do. Okay? The best way of being capable is when I show you how to do something, you do it. When I give you a sharing code, you copy and paste the sharing code and it loads the whole website right into your account. Okay? which means you need to have an active account. You need to be working your account, and you want to go through the basics. So the schedule is at 7 o'clock, we're going to deal with beginners issues. 20 minutes later, we're going to do intermediate. And then at 7:40, we're going to go advanced. And what I'm talking to you about workflows is actually intermediate. Okay. So all of you will be intermediates by tomorrow when you come up. So be sure to get back to the person who referred you to Builderall. Make sure that that person is your sponsor. If you have no sponsor at all, and some people don't, then please reply to the email that we send you after this call is over that, hey, I don't have a sponsor in Builderall, and there is a way that you can have Peter and I be your sponsors. I just found out that today as well, because some people just went to builderall.com and they signed up, and they don't actually have us as their sponsor, even though they came through us. So if that's you, reply to the email that we send you and make sure that you have a sponsor. Okay, make sure it's a human being that you can pick up the phone, you have them on speed dial, and that they can help you. All right. Back to you, Peter, and let's close it out. Everyone here, I believe, is capable. Let's move it from a 2% capability rating to a 10% or 20% capability rating. Back to you, Peter.
There you go. All right, guys. Thank you so much for coming on tonight. And again, we do these every Monday night at 7 o'clock. Same phone number, same PIN number. So don't wait for us to notify you. Put it on your phone, put it on your notification system to come on. We're going to really bathe you with great information that you can use and to harness your life and your entrepreneur business. So look forward to seeing you on the rest of the trainings this week. And we'll look forward to seeing you next week as well. Good luck, everybody, and live intentionally. Have a good night.
This session is no longer being recorded.
Subscriber lists so that their emails that they receive are only coming from the website associated with that offer. The simplest way to do that, quite frankly, is to have one website for every single offer or every single funnel that you're promoting. And that's really, really simple with Builderall, which we're going to be talking about tomorrow. They just launched, Peter, I don't know if you know this, they just launched a special program websites for $29 a month instead of the $69 a month. You can always upgrade to the $69 a month. The $69 a month gives you 15 websites, unlimited emails, unlimited autoresponders. It's the unlimited package for $69 a month. But some people were saying, you know what, that's too much of a commitment for me, so they can just go ahead and get started for $29 a month and have 5 websites and upgrade to something later. So I think that's a great, great value. And I'm going to pass it over to you. You can talk a little bit about Builderall and why we're requiring people to be active in Builderall if they want to come tomorrow. Because long story short is if I show you what I'm doing and you don't have the tools to actually put it into practice for your business, it's just going to be an intellectual exercise and it won't mean anything to you. So back over to you, Peter. Why do you think people ought to, if they're ready to Builderall, log in, sign in, click the upgrade button so you're no longer at the free level,
just by using their system. So if you're looking at having a well-rounded training and education, Monday nights we do the mental stuff, right, and the entrepreneur mental stuff, and Tuesdays is more the physical doing it, right, and then we have also on Thursdays as well. So you're getting, I would say, 6 to 9 hours a week of education and training with the intentional metric stuff that we do, um, which is really incredible. But in a nutshell, if you haven't heard, I mean, the overall system in 30 years of me being on the internet and 22 years of my own company, it's really the most well-rounded system at the right price for the most people. And it's just fantastic. I think it's really, really great. And that includes ClickFunnels, right? So I would suggest you get in there and do that. You can make all your funnels, and it has too many for me to even mention today as far as all the different features and functions and things like that you have in there. But and a nice affiliate program as well too. So so that's it, Vic. And I think that's pretty much it as far as what you want to talk about. Do you want to mention anything else?
Yeah, what I'm going to be talking about tomorrow is going to be workflows. This is a new feature that I just discovered inside of Buildroll. I've been using their Mailing Boss software. I now have 5,246 subscribers inside of my Mailing Boss. And what I love about their system more than anything is they don't have a success tax. Other programs out there, the more subscribers you have, the more they're going to cost per month, right? And pretty soon you'll be paying $100 a month, $200 a month, $500 a month for some email programs. Like if your list is 100,000, you're going to be spending like 500 to 1,000 bucks a month just to reach those 100,000 people. And the problem with that is you can't really reach 100,000 people at a time. The only way you can do that is every single person on your list was a business, not a free email service. So Gmail, Hotmail, Yahoo, AOL, all of those companies are out. You pretty much need to be focusing right around the 5,000 mark left. And the reason for that is because these large companies that have free email services, they don't want their members being pitched too much. It's just that simple. There's nothing wrong with it. But you cannot scale your business when your subscribers are using free email. You just can't. It's just not possible to do because you're operating from a domain that you have no jurisdiction in. When you have an email address, let's say in Gmail, you are inside of Google's social network called Gmail. It's a great place. But external things that are emailing to those subscribers have limits. Okay? When you cross too many in a day, they start paying attention, and not in a good way. So what you need to do, and we're going to talk about this, is you need to do list refinement. You have to do list segmentation, and you have to start bringing more of your subscribers into a business-to-business relationship. Okay? You want to say, hey, if you're a business and your email address is you@yourbusinessname.com, I'm going to give you a 50% off coupon on my product. Okay? That's what I've always been saying now for the last 3 years because we can't boycott. I mean, it's silly. Who in their right mind is going to boycott Gmail? No, too many people use it. But what we can do is inform them, say, term for it, I don't think the word free even counts. One of my clients didn't believe me. I told them this 2 years ago, and then they started seeing the numbers. I said, just try this. And then they saw the numbers, and they said, you know what? You told me 2 years ago I didn't believe you then because that sounds like too much like a conspiracy. I said, no, it's not a conspiracy. It's just the way it is. And they said, now I believe you. Now I believe you. Okay, so Peter, take a guess. What is the open rate of your subscribers that have not connected with us in the last 30 days? What is your open rate?
No, it's probably 10% less, probably.
2.
Oh.
2. Right?
Oh, right.
2%. Right? What's your open rate of people who are here every single month? At least one opened in a month. What do you think is the open rate for that? Across the big
50% or more?
No, that would be a really specific one. It's actually 28%.
Okay.
But see, 28%, here's the thing. If you're getting a 28% invitation for people to come to this call, all that's going to happen is we have to can those people that are only opening the 2%. There's really no reason to keep talking to them or keep emailing to them because it's just, they're not paying attention, right? It's actually a liability for us to keep mailing to those people. And this is what people don't understand, is that as long as you keep mailing to people who are not opening, you're hurting your reputation with Google. And if you hurt your reputation with Google, it's going to be very hard for you to repair that reputation. Okay? It's very hard. You have to sign petitions, you have to do all kinds of things. All of a sudden, people look at your website and then McAfee notifies them that, hey, this is a dangerous website, get out of there. I'm not kidding you. I'm speaking from experience. That has happened to me until I cleaned up my reputation with Google, and then that no longer happens anymore. Because they're not a bad company, they're just protecting their members. So those of you who are insisting on keeping your Gmail accounts, you're gonna be paying more. That's just it. You're gonna be paying more with retention, you're gonna be paying more with your vitality, and you're not gonna be able to scale your business. So that's why now is the time for you to make a decision to want something. And that's one of the reasons why I brought out Socrates here. If you don't really want it bad enough, you're not going to get it. Okay? If you don't desire the knowledge and you don't desire the ability, I call it capability. Okay? Capability to me is the most paramount skill that you need. And I would say we're operating with 2% capability index right now. Okay? Those people who wanted to read that letter, of which only 2% opened, they wanted your letter because the click-through rate of the people who did is high. It's astronomically high. They're just not capable of finding the letter. Amidst all the other things they have going on, okay, amidst all the other noise that's bothering them all the time, against all of the Facebook notifications and instant notifications and spam emails that are hitting their mailbox, they just don't have the capability to function. We're looking for people who can function.